now we will discuss procedure for transforming a Mealy machine into a Mealy machine. We developed a procedure for transforming Mealy machine into Mealy machine and vice versa, so that for a given input string, the output string are the same in both machines. Now consider a Mealy machine. This is example. Consider a Mealy machine. Described by given transition table. In which present states, next state, present states Q1, Q2, Q3 and Q4 are there. Next state for input A equals 0 state. Next state transition and output is given. Next state transition is from state Q1 for input 0, it is Q3 and 0 for input A equal 1 state, and output state is Q2 and output is 0. From Q2, next state is Q1, output is 1. Next state is Q4 and output is 0. From Q3, next state is Q2, output is 1. And next state is Q1 and output is 1. From Q4, next state is Q4, output is 1. Next state is Q3 and output is 0. Output is 0. This Mealy machine is to be converted into equivalent Mealy machine. Now we look into the table. In this part, we find the output associated with states. For example, here the output of state Q1 is 1 and output of state Q1 in this part is 1, and for state Q2 output is 1 and output is 0. Output associated with the state. For state Q2, output associated with state Q2 is 1 and output is 0. And for state Q3, output associated with state Q3 is 0 and Q3 is 0. And for Q4, it is 1 and 0. To convert the Mealy machine into equivalent Mealy machine, we have to identify the output associated with the state, and here we see that output associated with state Q1, we have to write like this: output associated with states are. Output associated with state Q1 is 1. Output is associated with state Q1 is 1, and output associated with state Q2, are 1 and 0. So we split this state Q2 or rename as Q2 0, which will show output 0, and Q2 1, which will show output as 1. And for state Q3 it is 0 and 0. So state Q3 output associated with state Q3 is 0. Again for state Q4 it is 1 and 0. So output associated with the states Q4 are 0 and 1. So state Q4 again split into state Q4 0 and Q4 1. Output of state Q4 0 is 0 and output associated with state Q4 1 will be 1. Now we split the state Q2 into two state Q2 0 and Q2 1 and Q4 0 and Q4 1. That means we have to write another intermediate table which will show that the state Q2 is split into Q2 0 and Q2 1 and Q4 0 and Q4 1. Now we have to write another table which is not exactly the table of Mealy machine, but it is an intermediate table. And this intermediate table is like this. Next state and output, present state, where write Q1, and in place of state Q2 we will write Q2 0 and Q2 1, Q3 as it is, and Q4 0 and Q4 1, like this. And their state transition, next state transition will, for Q1 it is Q3 0, and for state for input 1 at state Q1, its next state transition is Q2 as given, Q2 and 0. But now state output associated with state Q2 with output 0 is, this state is now renamed as Q2 0. So we will write here Q2 0. From state Q2, next state transition is Q1 1. So we will write Q1 1 for input 0, and for input 1 it is Q4 and 0. Now the output 0 is represented by our state Q4 0. So we will convert Q4 0 into Q4 0 0. Q4 output 0 will be converted into Q4 0 0. Then again we will write this transition or copy this transition for state Q2 1, Q1 1 1 and Q4 0 0. For state Q3, the transition is Q2 1. Transition is for input 0. In previous table it is Q2 1. Then output associated with state Q2 with output 1, renamed state is now Q2 1. So it is Q2 1 and output 1. And for input 1 it is Q1 1. And for Q4 0, next state transition is Q4 1 and Q3 0. And for these transitions we copy as it is Q4 1 1 and Q3 0 0. This is intermediate table. This is not exactly the Mealy machine. Now we will convert this intermediate table into equivalent Mealy machine. So in equivalent Mealy machine is input independent machine, and it will show only one output as associated with the state, individual state. So in next table we will eliminate this output, and we will show the state, show the output of state Q1 is 1, state Q2's output as 0, state Q21's output as 1, Q3's output as 0, Q241's output as 0, Q40 as 0, and Q41 as 1. Now convert this intermediate table into equivalent Mealy machine. Now Mealy machine, for input 0 and input 1, the next state transition and present state transition, and output state Q1, state Q1's output is Q3 and Q2 0, and output of state Q1 is 1. We write output here 1, and for state Q2, next state transition is Q1 and Q4 0, and Q2 0 will show output 0, and for Q2 1, it is next state transition will remain same, Q1 and Q4 0, but output is 1, correct. Similarly for Q3, its next state transition is Q2 1 and Q1, and output is 0. Q3's output is 0, so Q3's output is 0. And for Q4 0, next state transition is Q4 1 and Q3, and Q4 zero's output is 0, and for Q4 1, next transition will remain same, Q4 1 and Q3, but output is 1. So this is the revised table or equivalent Mealy machines table. This is converted, this Mealy machine is now converted into Mealy machine. Here we observe that output of initial state Q1 is associated with output 1. This means that with null input, that is, with this null input, the output of machine, with null input we get an output of 1 if the machine start at state Q1. Thus, as we know that the Mealy machine is input independent machine, the Mealy machine accepts a zero length sequence which is not accepted by Mealy machine. To overcome this situation, we have to neglect the response of machine with input null input. Either we must add a starting state before this state Q1 as Q0, and their next state transition as Q3 and Q20 with output as 0 for input 1 and input 0 and 1. We have to add this extra state as Q0 to accept the null input string to show the output as 0, because this machine is input independent machine, and at state Q1 it shows the output of 1. That means for null input or string with invalid input, it will show the output of 1, which is not the property of Mealy machine. So we have to add extra state. Either we have to neglect the response with null input, or we have to add an extra state Q0 with same next state transition but output is 0. In this way we convert the Mealy machine into equivalent Mealy machine. Next construction, just reverse. If we have a Mealy machine, we can convert it into equivalent Mealy machine. The transformation is very easy. Again, we can convert an equivalent Mealy machine from Mealy machine. So let us take an example of Mealy machine and we will convert this Mealy machine into equivalent Mealy machine. Here is an example. Construct a Mealy machine. Construct a Mealy machine equivalent to the Mealy machine as given in table. Correct? Here is Mealy machine whose present states are Q0, Q1, Q2 and Q3. The next state transition for input A equals 0 and input A equal 1 are Q3, Q1, Q2, Q2, Q3 and last Q3, Q0, sorry. 3 1 1 2 2 3 3 0 and output are 0 1 0 and 0. In very easy step we can convert this Mealy machine Mealy machine into equivalent Mealy machine. Correct? Here again we have to write the output of a state Q0 is 0. Output associated with states are Q0's output is 0, Q1's output is 1, Q2's output is 0 and Q3's output is 0. These outputs are written besides these states, and easily we can convert this Mealy machine into equivalent Mealy machine. Now we have to write another table of equivalent Mealy machine. So equivalent Mealy machine will be next state, present state A equals 0, input A equal 1, next state output, next state output. Present states are Q0, Q1, Q2 and Q3. Their next state transition are for state Q0 it is Q3, and for A equals 0 it is Q1. Similarly from state Q1 it is 1 and Q2. From Q2 it is Q2 and Q3. From Q3 it is Q3 and Q0. and we directly put the output associated with the states beside this next state transition. Like Q3's output is 0, so write Q3 0. Q3's output is 0, so write Q3 0 and Q3 0. Now Q1's output is 1, so write 1 and 1. Q2's output is 0, so write 0 and 0. And Q0's output is 0, so write 0. In this way, we convert this machine, Mealy machine, into equivalent Mealy machine. This is all about Mealy and Mealy machines. You can solve number of examples using this method and convert Mealy machine into Mealy machine and vice versa.